So our problem that we're solving, we have to figure out what's going to be a class mascot that's going to be representative of this class. We need to figure out what needs to be considered and what's going to be the best choice for this new mascot. I want you to circle the word mascot because I want to make sure we all know what that word means. What is a mascot? William, do you remember what's a mascot?
I keep forgetting what mascot is.
Oh, okay. Well, listen up because I got some friends who think they know. Brindley, what's a mascot?
Something that like represents something.
Okay, we got a lot of somethings in there. You're on the right track. Grace?
A mascot is it can be a person, animal, or thing that represents the group or classroom.
Okay. Usually we see mascots when we think of a team, right? Maybe a basketball team or a football team. Usually a mascot goes with a team. Grace, you're exactly right. A mascot could be a person, right? We've seen the Pirates, the ECU Pirates, that's a person. Could be an animal. Does anybody know what the mascot is of Dixon Elementary? Because it's an animal, right? The Bulldogs. And it could be just a thing. So, for instance, things are a little harder to come by as a mascot, but they definitely exist. My sister was looking at colleges, and colleges always have mascots. And she was looking at a college called Syracuse, which is in New York. Very cool. Not the place for me. But she wanted to go there. And Syracuse's mascot is an orange. Fighting oranges. Not what I would have picked, but that's their mascot that represents them. So it could be a thing or what I sometimes call just an object. Does that refresh your memory, Liam?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So NC State, where I went to get my undergraduate degree, their mascot is the Wolfpack. So anytime you see that Wolfpack symbol, typically people think, oh, that goes with NC State. Tar Heels, that's their mascot. They also have a ram as their mascot. That goes with that college. Can you think of any other mascots you might have seen or know about? What you know, Scarlett?
There could be food mascots.
There could be food mascots. Yep, we'll throw that in the object category. Do we know of any mascots that you know of in real life? Brayden? The Cardinals. Yeah, the baseball team. Is that baseball? I'm not super into sports, so I pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but that sounds like baseball. We're going to go with baseball. It's baseball. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Grace, what do you remember?
The Rams.
The Rams. Sure. Is that the football team? Yeah. St. Louis?
Not anymore.
Oh, they moved. Oh. Good stuff. What is the point of a mascot? Like, why do we have them? Other than they're fun. They're kind of cute sometimes. Why do we even have a mascot? Eliana?
Kind of for a symbol of your school.
It is a symbol of your school or your community or your team or whatever has a mascot, definitely. Right? It does represent you, yep. Think about what a mascot does at a game, because that's where typically we see mascots. What are they doing? If you're going to a football game, that mascot's going to be there, but what are they doing there? Miranda? They do help you recognize your favorite team. Yep. Scarlett? They cheer you on. Mascots are probably the most fun part of going to these games because they're the ones that are going, yay! Go team! Cheer, dance, yeah. So when we create our own classroom mascot, we want to make sure that our mascot is cheering on are learning. Oops. Cheers is on. We're doing all the learning in here. All the learning. So our mascot is going to be cheering us on. Ethan, I'm well aware that you've already written this down once. Congratulations. You come all 4 days. You get to write it down again. Get your pencil right. If I have written something down on my board, it needs to be in your notebook. Before we can even start deciding our mascot, we need to figure out how are we going to make this fair, right? We can't just go with what Liam only wants. Because I'm sure Liam has a great idea, right, Liam? For our mascot, you have a good idea for what our mascot should be?
We can take a vote. No, not really.
Alright, so Liam's working on his idea, but we know that we can't just go with what Liam only wants, or what Grace only wants. We have to make it fair. So how can I get the opinions of my students to help me decide my classroom mascot? How do I get those opinions? Right? Okay, well I gotta have something to vote on. Right now I don't even know what you want. How do I get to know before the vote what people want?
Well, okay, so we can all decide animal and write it somewhere, and then people will want it. Like whatever they want, whatever one gets it, whoever wants to listen, some, like whatever they choose.
Yeah, so in order to figure out what students want, or what really anybody wants when we're deciding something, we have to ask questions. Yay, we talked a lot about questions yesterday. When we ask questions to get information, like what we're trying to decide right now, we are making a survey. Remember, if I am writing, you are writing. A survey is where we are asking questions to get information. And I'm going to shorthand information to just say info. So if I'm creating a survey to help figure out my mascot, I might include some questions like, do you want a lion to be our class mascot? Next question. Do you want a rock to be your class mascot?
No.
We're not deciding. This type of information that we're going to be getting has a special word. It's not just information. That's not wrong, but the better word for it is data, or data, however you want to pronounce it. So that information, once we ask everybody what mascot they would like, that's data. And we're going to have to use that data to then help us make our class mascot. Alright, so we know what to do first. We got to ask everybody's opinions. And we do that with a survey. Okay, we have our survey down. What do I do with that data then? How is my survey results shared or displayed? Because I went and asked everybody's opinion, but what do I do with that now? Stick it in a notebook, put it on your desk? No? Probably not. It's not going to be very helpful there. Grace, what do you think?
So you write it on the board.
Okay.
And you say, who wants this? And then people kind of vote, and then whoever gets the most votes gets the mascot.
So you're still on the right track. Definitely some kind of way we're going to write it. But data typically involves numbers. Is there a special math way that we can represent numbers? Especially when you have a lot of numbers, like people all voting for one thing and then maybe something else. Brinley?
Maybe you can think of which one had the most people that voted it.
Yep.
And whichever one had the most wins.
You're exactly right. That is exactly what we're going to do with our data. But we're going to put it in picture form. Ethan, you remember what that picture form is called?
Yes.
What is it called?
A graph.
A graph. Raise your hand if you've heard of the word graph before. Yeah, we've seen graphs. You've used them in 2nd grade. I know you've used them in 2nd grade. Probably even 1st grade. What kind of graphs have you seen? Raise your hand and tell me. What kind of graphs have you seen? Liam, what's one graph you've seen?
No, I just heard the word graph. I haven't really just.
You haven't used them before or seen them?
Yeah, I only saw them in 3rd grade.
Oh, okay.
Like, remember when we told the class about like the bar graph?
Oh, yes, the bar graphs. You know what those look like? They got bars on them.
Mm-hmm.
And those bars might go up and down, or they might go side to side, depending on which style of bar graph. That's one style. That's probably my favorite. It's easier for my brain to see. What other graphs have you seen? Right? What about other graphs? Pictographs. The cute little pictures. Yes. Those don't take a long time to make, but they're pretty cool to look at. Any other graphs you've seen? Miranda?
Photographs.
Ooh. I love your use of the word graph. But when we're using graph in our math class, we're talking about a graph to show data. A photograph isn't going to show data. If we think about what a word really means, like the original use, graph means to write. And so when you take a photograph, you're writing with the photo, right? You're seeing a story or a picture. When we are graphing in math class, we're writing with numbers, which is a different form of writing. Interesting little connection. Brayden, what's another graph you've seen? A tally graph. Ooh, tallies. We know what tallies are, right? Where you do the little line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slash for 5. Seen those? Yes. Oh yeah. So you've all seen a graph. Why do we have them? What are they there for? Other than they look really cool. Eliana?
They're there to help you learn.
Okay, let's be a little more specific. Because I'm here to help you learn, but I'm not a graph. Grace?
Graph is a way to show what people kind of vote.
Yes. Graphs are an easier way to show data. We talked about data. Information. Graphs are an easier way to show information. And it's easier because there's not a lot of words. It's a lot of pictures. Alright, so we're going to gather some information. We're going to take our survey. Ask our friends what we want. Once we get all that information, Ethan, that notebook is open and your pencil is writing. We are going to put it in a graph, organize it a bit, and then what? And then what? Put it in a notebook, put it in our desk? Nope. Lucy, what do you think we're going to do next? We might actually want to do something with that data. So I've gotten my survey results, I've gotten my data, put it in a nice neat graph. Now it's time to actually make a decision. Voting is a great way to do that. We can make a decision. We might decide there's a tie. What are we going to do then? Liam, what are we going to do if there's a tie? What are we going to do if there's a tie?
If there's a tie?
Yeah.
On the mascot?
On the mascots, yeah. It's a tie between lions and tigers. Oh my.
Those. I don't know.
I don't know either. What are we going to do if there's a tie? rock, paper, scissors?
What?
That's my favorite way to break a tie, by the way. So if there's a tie and it's something simple, I will probably ask you to do rock, paper, scissors. But this is not something simple. We're working really hard on this. Lucy, what are we going to do this time?
I think we could, the other people that put theirs on, they could vote themselves.
We might have to start over. Not completely over, because we have data. But let's go back to that survey part. And now we're going to say, okay, at first we asked you if you want to be a rock, an orange, a penguin, a tiger, a lion. We figured out most of you want to be either a lion or a tiger. Now we go right back to that survey, and now you only have two options. Choose lion or tiger. Then we make our graph. Lion, tiger, which one's higher? Then we make our decision. So sometimes, when we get to the decision stage, we have to kind of start over. Brayden? Yep, we need some kind of tiebreaker for sure.
Okay, if you're not voting, and he's not voting, and just kids, if there is a tie, you will miss.
So we talked about a couple of different ways to show those pieces of information, data, into those graphs. Graphing allows us to organize and record data in a way that makes it easy to see the results. This makes it easy to compare information. Below are some examples of ways you can display data. Now we've talked about all of those. Lucy?
If everybody votes, will they just vote for their own one? If everybody else, if everybody voted?
So if we had a bunch of options the first time, and then we do it again and only give people two options, they could keep their same vote, but someone who maybe voted for penguin the first time now has to decide lion or tiger. You see what I'm saying? We'll try it out, because we're going to do this. Alright, so when I give you this piece of paper, go ahead and glue it in your notebook. Specifically looking at the bar graph. Which playground equipment on that bar graph was the most favorite? Which playground equipment on that bar graph was the most favorite? Brinley?
Slide.
Slide. How do you know that?
Because it has two more than the swings.
Yeah, and we can see that bar next to the word slide is the longest bar. That tells me the most people voted for slide. Which one was the least popular? On that bar graph, which one was the least popular? Scarlett? Swings. How do you know that?
Because it's the smallest.
The smallest bar. That tells me the smallest amount of people voted for swing. What about in the pictograph? Which was the most popular way to get to school on that pictograph? Lucy? Is it bikes? Oh, two more additional ones? Just look at the picture. Don't worry about the words. Just looking at the pictures. Lucy? Bus. Because the bus has 4 buses, whereas the bike has 3 bikes. We're ignoring the words for right now. We've seen these kinds of things before. Right? Alright. Here's that survey. This might be what ours looks like. It says another class at another school voted on a class mascot. They posted their results below the picture of their data. So the options that they voted for are elephant, giraffe, lion, penguin, tiger, zebra. Solid options. Based on that data, which mascot does it look like they're going to choose for their class? Right? Penguin. How do you know that? Yeah, we know the penguin has the most votes because the penguin is the tallest bar in that graph. Which one was the least chosen? Which one was the least chosen? elephant, because only 2 people picked elephant. That bar is so small. Which was second choice? Almost got it, but was second choice. Brayden, this would be the part you look at your notes or my board. Lucy, what was the second choice? Zebra was super close to penguin. Penguin had 7 votes. Zebra had 6 votes. That zebra was the second option. Make sure you get that glued in your notebook as well. Do you have a question, Ethan?
No.
Okay, well then hang on to it.
I don't have a question.
Alright, we're going to watch a short little video. Gives us a bit more information about what a graph is. So once you have those 2 pieces of paper glued in your notebook, I want you to turn around so you're facing the board. Thanks, Liam. And we're going to learn some more information about what is a graph.
What's a graph? I'm Jet Tunes with more math news you can use. Ted, watch this. As cars drive by, I stack up a block. If the car is blue, I stack up a blue block. If a red car goes by, you stack a red block. Right. You can easily see that more blue cars went by than red, and almost no green cars went by, and even less yellow cars. That's a great way to record information. What do you call it? It's a graph. No, it's a graph. Graphs are used to show and explain data. What's data? Data is a group of numbers. In this case, the numbers show how many cars drove by of each color. I think we should call it the amazing Barkley block counter thing. It's a graph. Until next time, I'm Ted Tunes.
Yeah, it's a little strange, but it's kind of catchy. All right. So I want you looking in your notebook. And we looked at that sample of another class, right? They made a survey, just like we're going to do. And it says, what mascot do the students want based on that survey result? So looking at your data that we just glued in, what mascot do they want? It's not a trick question. Your eyeballs should be in your notebook, not at me. The survey is not on my pretty face. It's in your notebook. Scarlett? They're probably going to be the penguins. Because that is what the most amount of people voted for. Okay? Alright. Feel so good? Could someone tell me what is data? What is data? Liam, what's data? What's data?